Hey guys, it's Christian, your Vancouver Realtor, and the topic for today's video is 300 showings on a detached house. Exactly, that's exactly what happened to us last weekend. I'm going to share the story of that. And while it is a sign of how hot the market is and how hard it is to get a detached house with a nice yard and a white picket fence, at the same time, I want to share with you how I have helped clients climb into that detached market. And that's coming up in the second part of this video. So let's go back, rewind, start from the beginning. Earlier this week, I took clients out and we were looking for an investment property. This is a family I'm working with, and they want to get something, that it's a long-term buy and hold. And that's a strategy for a lot of buyers in today's market. I mean, you can see where prices have come from just around the time we had the Olympics here in Vancouver. And since then to now, prices have more than doubled. At that time, remember, everyone was shocked and surprised that homes were approaching $1 million. And now, well, 2 million is the new 1 million. But if you have a buy and hold strategy, boy, it's in the long term, that's great for you, because who knows what today's detached homes will be worth 20 years from now. They'll probably be worth double at the very least. So that would be $3-4 million for what today costs 1.5 or 2 million. So this weekend we were out looking for a detached home in the Tri-Cities, which is Coquitlam, Port Coquitlam, Port Moody. And we looked at 5 places, but the one that really caught my attention was this detached house on Grant Street, right across from a park. It's an older 1960s bungalow, where you have 5 bedrooms, 3 bedrooms are upstairs, 2 are downstairs, and you've seen a lot of these. It's just a very, very common type of house you find in all the big cities here in Canada. Anyway, we show up and we park the car and we drive. We haven't even stepped on foot on the driveway, and we are met by the realtor who's got he's there. He says, we've had 300 showings on this property. And I don't know if we were about 265, but there over a 10-day period, he had that many showings. And eventually, of course, it led to over 20 offers on the property. And finally, a property which was listed for $1.199 sold for about $500,000 more. Just incredible stuff. I mean, it's just, there's no other way to describe it. I'm even speechless. I can't even explain it to you. That's how shocking these numbers have been. And my concern, of course, is that this is just going to continue. With these low interest rates, free money from the bank, 300 buyers out looking at one property. I mean, that tells you all you need to know right there. So what do you do? How do you climb into the market when this is what you're up against? So I want to share 3 short stories, and this will show you how I've helped other clients get into the detached market. So first couple, this is about 2-3 years ago, and what we did there, they had started out with a condo, and they had owned that for maybe about 5 years. And at this point, they had a baby, and the baby was about 2-3 years old now. He's starting to walk around, do a little damage to the condo, and they wanted a yard for him to, be able to kick a soccer ball around. And so we ended up getting them a detached home. Now, it was close to a cemetery, so, that would be a knock against it. But at the same time, the price was really attractive. The home was in great shape. The basement suites were just ready to rent out. So the home worked out perfectly for my clients, and they've done really well, and they've loved every minute of it. During the pandemic, because they've had all that extra space. Plus, they rent out the basement. So the lesson to take from this is you don't start with a detached. You may have to start with a condo. You can start with a 2-bedroom, in this case, or not, it could be in Metrotown, Brentwood, wherever it is. And then 4 or 5 years later, you built up a little equity, and all of a sudden now you've saved a little bit more money. You make a little bit more income. You make more. Your wife makes a better income, and all of a sudden you can now make that jump into the detached market. That's how they did it. That's how we helped them. Now, second story. 2 siblings. They had been living with their parents, both, again, making fairly good incomes. They work really hard at what they do, so they deserve it. And saving a lot of money while they're living with their parents. And 3, 4, 5 years later, they've saved up enough for a down payment. And this is during the pandemic, second half of 2020. And what we did was we found a house in East Van. Very simple, just 4-bed, 2-bath, and just 2 bedrooms upstairs. So not ideal for a lot of people, but for these 2 siblings, just perfect. And the house needed a lot of work. Like, I can't stress that enough. Like, this is a full gut job, like to the studs, right? Which means you're taking off drywall. And these 2 siblings had a lot of courage. They were willing to take that on. I think they like, throwing themselves into that sort of detail-oriented reno, and they did. And I haven't been by recently, but I imagine it's done at this point. And, they've done really well. I mean, the home value of their place has probably gone through the roof, especially with a really nice renovation too. So that would be something you could consider. Consider something that is not ideal, needs a lot of work. Story number 3. And this was with a young couple, again, wanting more space to start a family. In that case, we had a small 2-bedroom in Surrey, and they wanted to upsize. And we ended up getting them a nice townhouse in the Ladner Delta area. And all we did was we made sure that we got the financing ready, and we were able to pull the trigger on a nice 3-bedroom townhouse with air conditioning, the only kind in Ladner, and do that fairly quickly, and then sell their place afterwards. So that was what we were able to do, and those are examples of how you too can climb into the detached market, or climb yourself into a bigger townhouse. Often it starts with getting that first property, a 1 or 2 bedroom condo, building that equity, building up your down payment, and of course increasing your income, and then you're in a position where 4 or 5 years later you're able to buy a lot more property. So that's what I've seen successful clients do, and that's something you can do too. And if you got questions, comments, leave those below, and we'll see you next time.